those are interesting news for sure. Hello and welcome. We're joined today by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and former NFL head coach Eric Mangini. Let's start in Foxborough, where fans are still confused about Bill Belichick's decision to bench cornerback Malcolm Butler for the Super Bowl, with rumors flying about marijuana and missed curfews and meltdowns. Belichick hasn't actually explained the decision, but Butler denied all the reports today, saying, quote, "During Super Bowl week, I never attended any concert, missed curfew, or participated in any of the ridiculous activities being reported. They are not only false, but hurtful to me and my family." Cowherd, I think this means Belichick has to give a more detailed explanation. Do you agree?
No, this is about Bill Belichick can have the Patriots job for as long as he wants it. Malcolm Butler's leaving town, and he's a free agent. And so this, for me, this is just him saying to the league, I'm a good guy. Don't believe the crazy internet media. This is Malcolm Butler making himself about $9 million on the market instead of guys that run the Arizona Cardinals thinking, that kid went to a concert, he went this, he went that. We don't know. This is what he's saying. This is job preservation. That is commerce, is what he's doing.
That is saying that Bill Belichick benched me for no freaking reason. That is saying Bill Belichick cost us a chance at the Super Bowl because he was on some power trip and decided Super Bowl week was the time to bench the guy that won us a Super Bowl before, played 98% of the snaps during the regular season, and Bill Belichick just decides just before kickoff, Malcolm Butler, you're dusted. You're going to play one play of special teams. That is calling into question Belichick's competency, what Malcolm Butler just put out. I think Belichick's got to explain it.
Okay, so in the grand scheme of things, when you're looking at this, you're going to say, okay, is Malcolm Butler's assessment of what is right defensively for the New England Patriots in the Super Bowl more accurate than what Bill Belichick thinks is right for the defensive scheme in the Super Bowl? Like, I don't think it calls into question his competency at all. I think Bill said everything he's going to say. He appreciates his competitiveness. He appreciates the other players' feelings, but this was a coaching decision. He does not care what the court of public opinion thinks.
Yeah. I'm looking at this. First of all, I don't think he's going to explain himself, and I don't think he has to explain himself. That's one of the beautiful things that I think Belichick, the reason he's so great is because he doesn't get caught up in all the hoopla and all the circus stuff. He just does what he thinks is right, and that's win championships and go to Super Bowls. But looking at what Malcolm Butler just put out there, for me, I'm on the flip side of that, Colin, where he comes out and says, well, I'm a good guy. Please don't take that, you know, if you're looking at me, potential free agents. To me, that just says Bill Belichick, one of the greatest defensive minds ever, said you can't play in the Super Bowl. If all that's true, and you're right, Malcolm Butler, that means you couldn't play because you just weren't good enough, whatever it is. We didn't need you because I've made the decision that you couldn't help us win. To me, if I was advising Malcolm, I would say, don't say anything. You didn't need to put out that statement. Just go out and go through the back channels. I say go to the back channels. Have your agent talk to the teams and say that wasn't me. Or do, I don't know. I'm just saying, because now to me that just says Bill Belichick doesn't think you were good enough to play the week of the Super Bowl.
And you know
if it wasn't about missing.
But Tony, you know what the scoreboard said? That Bill Belichick was wrong. Because show me anywhere in the last 10 to 12 weeks where they were giving up 40-some-odd points to a backup quarterback in the damn Super Bowl. Show me where they gave up 40. Nick Foles looked like Roger Staubach and John Elway out there. And your cornerback that played 98% of the snaps in the regular season can't get one defensive snap? That to me, if what Malcolm Butler's saying is true, Bill Belichick looks stupid and petty. And it can happen to the greatest.
But Bill's not going to say any more than he's said already. And to me, there's more to this. There is more to this.
And he needs to explain it.
He doesn't need to explain it. He said all he's going to say, but my gut says this is the tip of the iceberg of things that have happened that culminated in the decision that was made because of a lot of reasons.
But if he does not explain it, and he hasn't so far, this thing is going to spin racial, Eric, over social media and with NFL players who are addicted to social media. It's already bubbling. And so in a league that's 70% black, now we're going to have a conversation about Bill Belichick that revolves around race and a bullying coaching style and a petty coaching style. I think he needs to, and I agree with you. I guarantee you there's more to this. But he needs to explain it, or he's kicking off a war that I don't think he can win.
Well, I mean, I still think players around the league want to play for him. I mean, because you can
Not
win.
everybody wants to play for Belichick.
No, but enough.
If you
Not
want
everybody.
Not everybody, but if you want a chance to go to the Super Bowl, you got a pretty good chance if you go there and do the right thing
Doug
that you're going to
Peterson
go.
could say the same thing, too.
Okay, well, we're talking about 1 versus 8,
One guy's
17 years of
65 with a
success.
40-year-old quarterback. You know, Doug Peterson's coming into his own. He's got Carson Wentz. There's other guys. New England's got a 40-year-old quarterback. I didn't see New England winning a bunch of Super Bowls before Tom Brady. So when he goes away, or you know,
I agree, but there's going to be a market
Let's
there
not
for them.
forget, I mean, he also released a statement himself. I saw the interview of Malcolm Butler saying that he didn't live up to his standards this year. I think this was his worst year so far since he's been there.
He did not have a great year.
He didn't have a great year, and he said this himself. And so that's what I'm saying. Even more so, the reason where I got to believe Belichick, where it just wasn't good enough for the system.
Tony, 16 in the regular season, 2 in the postseason. He was good enough, and they won. He disappears. They give up 41 points, and Nick Foles looks like
if
Brady.
They would have won. Let's say that strip sack didn't happen, and Brady went down there and did what he normally does. With that much time left, I got a feeling they would have scored if they didn't get the turnover right there. Now we're looking at him probably saying, well, you know what, maybe he's a genius.
You know what I love about
Belichick's a genius.
You know what I love? If I look like you, I'd be married to Holly Berry. I don't look like you. I ain't married to Holly Berry.
Well, Malcolm Butler's benching isn't the only thing that has people in New England confused, with questions swirling around Belichick's future since Sunday's Super Bowl loss to Philly. As the Boston Globe writes, quote, "The only certainty is about next year, Robert Kraft will own the team and Brady will be playing quarterback. Everything else is up for grabs. It would be tough to blame Belichick if he walked away now, as owner forced him to trade away Garoppolo, and the tension behind the scenes is very real. Whitlock, you convinced Belichick is absolutely coming back?"
No, not at all. I think that Belichick and Robert Kraft and Tom Brady are going to have a pretty important meeting this offseason, I think, before Belichick knows what he's going to do. I think that the tension is real, and I think for the reasons we were discussing previously in terms of Bill Belichick wants things his way because they've been successful. He doesn't want to have to negotiate with Tom Brady, Alex Guerrero, or even Robert Kraft. And if it leads to where there's some negotiation, I think Bill Belichick is going to take his 5 Super Bowl rings and 8 Super Bowl appearances and go home. I think his behavior before this Super Bowl was different, and I thought he took time to smell the roses because I think this could be the end.
A year ago, it's ironic, he was yelling after the Super Bowl, "No days off, no days off." He's not a guy that I think is going to go golf for the rest of his life. I've been 50-50 on this because I think it was a very strange year and a very strange last 2 months, helping coordinators, giving away Brissett and Garoppolo under market value. In my opinion, it was strange. But I will say this. I think I lean more he's staying than going. I think I'm now in the 60-40 staying. With a Malcolm Butler benching, do you really think this defensive icon and legend, wouldn't he have just said, what the hell, I'm leaving anyway, let's just play him?
No.
I mean, listen, if you knew it was your last game, why would you
He
be
ain't breaking character.
Whoa, why would you be principled? It's your last day at school.
Because he's always
I don't. First of all, I don't totally agree that was a principled decision. I think there were some other things that there was a group of factors, and I would say there's 100% certainty that he's coming back. He's got 2 kids that are there right now. 2 of his sons are there. So this is a great time in his life where he can spend time with those boys that he couldn't spend when they were growing up, and they're in the industry, and he can share the things that he knows and help guide their career. And in terms of the dynamic with Robert Kraft, Bill told me when I got the head coaching job, he said, look, when you go home at the end of the day, you need to be happy with the assistant coaches. But when the owner goes home, he needs to be happy with you. So he understands the hierarchy of an organization, and he understands that, there's going to be times where he's got to have give and take with Robert Kraft.
100%. That's wow. I would say 98%. I agree with you. Because I just, like I said before on the show, why would you leave the big house on the top of the mountain with all the toys and everything, the great organization, you got them where you want? I know they're having some trouble. I just feel like he's going to go out there. He's got to get it. He's going to have a sit down, just like you said, have a meeting. He's not going anywhere. He's just going to say, this is my complaints. What are we going to do about it? because unless he wants to retire from football, period. And that's the only way he wants to get out of there. But for the reasons you said, why would he leave his kids?
Let me ask you this. Why suddenly would you give away Jacoby Brissett? By the way, Bill accumulated quarterbacks his whole life. Give him away for a bust wide receiver. Why would you give Garoppolo away for a second? Like, that's off-brand. He has always been. Bill doesn't lose a lot of deals. Those felt like.
I think the Jacoby Brissett thing. I don't get the sense that they felt like he was going to emerge into something, bigger than he was. And in terms of the Garoppolo thing, to me, that is strange, and that goes back to the fact that maybe there was a disagreement and he lost the disagreement. But that's just the way it works sometimes. And the idea that they're going to have some big sit-down or powwow or any of that stuff, it's not really the way it works there.
It does in the movies, though.
It would be a nice...
You don't think after the season, what owner doesn't sit down with his head coach, and then if they happen to have the greatest player of all time, doesn't make sure everything's on board with him as well? And so I don't think a sit-down, and again, you know the organization far better than I do, but for Robert Kraft and Bill Belichick and Tom Brady to sit down and after the season they just had, the stories that were leaked, the acknowledgement that there was real tension, of course they need to all get in the room and talk.
I think Bill and Robert are going to sit down, and look, that's part of any process at the end of the season. You sit with the owner and you go through the things you did well, the after-action report. But Tom Brady's not going to be in that meeting. He's not a stakeholder like that. He's still a player, and that's what makes Tom Brady great, is he is happy and content being a player. He's not trying to insert himself into the decision.
I don't want to put words in Cowherd's mouth, so it's just what I believe. I think Tom Brady has elevated to where he is more than just a player. Again, when your trainer has an office at the stadium, you're more than just any other player in that organization.
You would admit a couple of things, to Jason's point, are strange. Brady never did ads. He's plastered everything shy of Pizza Hut now. Brady is doing...
Compared to who? Like Peyton Manning?
Well, no, I mean...
He did a fraction of ads compared
to Peyton. No, but I mean, he released a documentary during the Super Bowl. Bill did a documentary. They gave away Garoppolo. They're like gladly helping coordinators leave. It's odd. It doesn't feel like... There was so much noise the last 3 weeks.
It does feel right. If there ever was the time to leave, this is probably it. Obviously, if they would have won, it probably would make it even more so going out on top. But both coordinators are gone. All this weird stuff is going on. Or it could be just maturity. They do see the window closing, and why not get that message out there? Tom Brady, he's been that way his whole career, so why not put it out towards the end of it? I was there. As you see the incoming, you start opening up a little bit more. That's what happens when you get old.
And they give a little bit to Tom Brady where they let his personal trainer in the building. The guy's got 8 Super Bowls. If he was a superstar in another organization, he'd own part of the team. Like, it's so different.
That's why he'll be in that meeting with Kraft and Belichick, the 8 Super Bowls.
He's not going to be in that meeting. He's not even going to be in town when that happens.
Coming up, I've been saying that Terrell Owens will take his annex to the Hall of Fame. And I think we just got our first clue it's going to happen. And at the 30, LeBron James is making a huge mistake, and he's running out.